Hi biologists. So today is June 1st. Happy June. We are working on Unit 6. So let's get started. So Unit 6 is going to take the form and look very similar to what the revision bundles are going to look like, just to make it easier for you guys for what you have to do. So in Unit 6, we're going to talk about how traits aren't just simply typically always going to be just one gene that codes for the single trait. They are going to be, sometimes it's more complex than that. We have the non-Mendelian traits, meaning that they don't follow that simple pattern of inheritance. So for example, if you have a gene in your body and it codes for a specific phenotype, it might not just be as simple as that. We have polygenic traits, meaning that multiple genes code for the single trait. We have codominance and incomplete dominance, which we talked about in Unit 5. And I apologize, a leaf blower has just started outside, so hopefully you can still hear me. And then we have this environmental influences, right? So whether you have genes that predispose you to maybe getting more likely to get heart disease. And then your diet, so your environmental influences, so your diet can either be good or bad and either push you more toward that or less likely toward that. And so there's this complex interaction of genes working with different things. So we are going to apply this knowledge that we're going to gain from this unit into what's going on in the world today. So what's going on with coronavirus, with COVID-19. So you are going to explore this complex relationship, and see why some people are more likely to suffer from COVID more drastically and more deadly than others. What is going on? Why? So some people maybe different marginalized groups, maybe people with diabetes. So what is going on that people have diabetes in the first place? One, so is it a result of their genes or their environment? Sometimes it can be a mixture of both. And then why is that going on? So in what ways are they more vulnerable? So you're watching the video introduction right now, which is a great job. Then you're going to explore this website. So you're going to need to create an account to explore this website. And there's a reading about codominance and incomplete dominance. So that should sound familiar, what we did in Unit 5. So codominance meaning that both alleles for a gene are dominant, meaning that they're both going to be expressed. So it comes up as like this both being expressed, so it'll be like stripes, spots, something like that. Whereas incomplete dominance means that one trait isn't completely dominant over the other. So when you have the heterozygous trait, so you have one dominant allele and one recessive allele, you're going to get something in between, so like the average of the two. So for example, with height. Okay, and then I'll let you figure out this last one for yourself. But you're going to read this. You can so we see that there's a brown dog and a white dog, and when they mix, they have a brown dog with white spots. And then you can put the these, whether it's codominance or incomplete dominance, whether it's an example of codominance or incomplete dominance, to play around with that. And then you can reset it as you want. So you'll read this, and then once you're done reading this, you're going to click Challenge Me, and they have 5 challenge questions for you. So yes, make sure that you are doing that. Step 3, we're going to read this chapter of what's going on with Mendelian, non-Mendelian inheritance, like I talked about. So we're going to discuss the polygenic traits. We're going to discuss codominance, incomplete dominance, some multiple alleles, polygenic characteristics, and effects on environment of phenotype. So how is the environment affecting if people are, how they're expressing their traits, what they look like? So then you're going to watch this video, which is actually the same exact video here. So you can just watch it on the CK12 website if you want. And then make sure you're answering these questions on it. And then finally, we have our mini QPA. So here we go. And so this is explaining what you're doing for your capstone. So how this mini QPA is going to be a stepping stone for the capstone, because your capstone is you are going to create a research-based PSA to show the science behind why particular people are susceptible to COVID, more susceptible than other groups. And so this, for mini QPA 1, you are going to be developing a research question. Okay, so you are going to develop a research question about the issues related to those that are at most risk to suffer and die from COVID. So the question that you are going to use, it's going to guide your entire research, your entire PSA. So this is a really important step. You can use these resources or your own. I just compiled some here. So people who are at higher risk for COVID, these are the same link, just one in Spanish, one in English for your convenience. Why COVID kills some people and spares others, who is getting sick and how sick, a breakdown of the demographic. Obesity linked to severe coronavirus disease, especially for younger patients. So think about how obesity can be something that's genetic. For this example, for obesity, if you want to see why are more obese people suffering more from COVID-19, why obesity is it genetic or is it environmental factors, or is it a little bit of both? So it might be a little bit genetic. You might not have leptin or whatever, the hormone in your brain that tells you to stop eating. And then it also might be environmental factors, meaning that you don't have access to a healthy diet, right? So thinking about that, or you don't have access to proper exercise. So thinking about that. So then does the new coronavirus affect older people or younger people also susceptible? So these are examples of articles that you can be using. So then you are using this space to write your research question that you'll focus on. Be sure to include any information in addition to the research question that'll be helpful for you to write your PSA. So this will save you time for the next step. So some examples here are for you. So if you need an example of a question, a research question, and that you can use. So here are some examples. So why are certain racial communities, such as Black communities, more at risk for dying from COVID? So that is a really broad question, but you can focus more in on different things. So why? What's going on? Is it just genetics, or is it environmental factors? Or is it both? And is likely a combination of both. Genetics that are always affected by environmental factors and so forth. So then what environmental and genetic factors make people more at risk to suffer deadly consequences of COVID? So you can look up what specific pre-existing conditions and diseases that people already have make them more likely to die from COVID than a healthy person of similar age and whatnot. So what specific environmental and genetic factors are making people more at risk? So think about that. So use this space here to write your question and any background information that you need. And then of course, here's the rubric. So good luck with this. I'm looking forward to seeing your guys' research.